Here we are, deep in the back of beyond, where we are just about to encounter the Elephant Garlic Nursery. Here, if we're lucky, we might find some of the combs that have been thrown down over the last years growing into plants. And there we can see some magnificent specimens of these plants growing, even coming to flower, which is a good sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig up these ones that are growing, and they'll be used for seed next year, and I'll come back to you in a moment. Okay, so I'll get my hands dirty. In a hidden corner of the bed, close by the Elephant Garlic Nursery, is the location of the backup Oerprei. Now if we look in here, hidden amongst these weeds, you can still see there's a few Oerprei plants. But if we look on the ground, we can see circles and clusters of all the little bulbils that they have. Now this is, as you can see, a bit overrun with everything else, so I need to dig this up and clear it out, and then replant all this Oerprei as a backup. Now these only started from a couple of plants. I can't remember how many, but there wasn't that many bulbs that I put in here. So it'll be interesting to see how, if left to its own devices, it grows. This was put in 2-3 years ago, something like that. So I'm going to start weeding this out and then show you what happens. This is a bit about like how it's been coming out. You can see here you've got 1 or 2 main plants, but then around it you've got thousands, well hundreds of these little brood balls. This is a small clump. Clumps have been coming out, you know, nice big fist size, but there have been loads and loads and loads of these tiny little ones. So many that I haven't been bothered to pick most of them. Picked a few, but most of them are just getting lost in here as I'm pulling them up. You know, you get the largest ones, but the small ones still go. So my plan was originally dig them up, get rid of most of the weeds that I can, and then repopulate it, resow. I don't think I'm going to bother with the resowing because there's enough of the escapees in here to self-populate it. So that just gives me a lot more seed for next year. Okay, and I'll show you the results when I finish this patch. I just made a discovery underneath my lovage of a mystery allium. This is growing. There's these little 4, 5, it looks like individual plants, but when we look at it, if we look in here, they're all connected to the same rhizome. Now I don't know what this is. Now it might possibly be mouse garlic, possibly. I did find a label nearby that said mouse garlic, and I did plant that, one little plant a couple of years ago of that, and then it seemed to die off. Just move some more couch grass. Oh, I don't know what else. So if anybody can tell me what they think this mystery allium is, not this one, I know what this one is, it's this mystery one, I would appreciate it. So how have I done? Well, this is the elephant garlic that's grown from combs this year. The ones that flowered have produced really small bulbs, but they'll still should dry back and be planted later on this year. There's a couple of really small ones and a couple of a reasonably large size. So if this year was to be judged, what should happen is these will go into bigger bulbs, which will be harvested next year and either eaten as large monobulbs or planted again. And I'm hoping that if you plant them again, they will then turn into nice big heads, because that's what I'm doing with the ones I planted last year. So I'm hoping that will then give us 3 stages. The combs go in the Elephant Garlic Nursery. These mini monobulbs will then grow into larger ones, and then the larger ones would give me big heads. And then of course I could always take cloves off those heads and plant as well. But for this year, I'm probably going to buy a few extra cloves, just to try and make sure I get some. But if this works, then it's going to be a continuous sort of conveyor belt of growing the elephant garlic on. I know it takes 3 years to go from a comb to a head, but if that means you get a lot more nice large heads, I'm happy with that. Now, the Oerprei. This is my backup plot. I can't remember how many bulbs, but a handful went in and then just left. About 3 years, I'm sure of. And well, they've just basically, each bulb grew into a little patch of bulbs which grew bigger, and you get some reasonable sized ones, but there were absolutely thousands of these small ones. So every one I picked up of these, you know, was part of a cluster which might have a larger one, maybe a smaller one, and then all these little tiny ones. And most of them have dropped off in the bed, so that bed is going to be guaranteed to have Oerprei in the future. I've got far too much, so what I think I'll do is sort out what I've got, and then if anyone wants some, I'll work a giveaway, which I'll talk about later on at the end of the video. Something else that I want to do today is to plant out some garlic. Now this garlic came from the stems, all these little ones came from the stems of the hardneck garlic I grew over winter from last year, that I harvested just the other day. When these grow, they'll not go to a full clove. They'll probably grow to something like this, or if I'm lucky, they'll grow into something like that. These then can grow on into full cloves, full heads with cloves. So as some of them are green and stuff, I'm just going to pop them. I'm not even going to bury them deep, I'm just going to basically pop them into a tray, quite dense, because when it comes to planting, I'll split them up. When I come to plant out, this is just to sort of like give them a bit of a start. Seems some of them look as if they want to grow anyway. And I'll give them a water. As I said, quite densely packed, and I'll split them up. So I'll do this and I'll show you how much I've got. Well, that's the cloves, or bulbs, whatever they're called, of the garlic planted. Hopefully they'll sprout soon. Worst that can happen is they die. That's nothing. Other than that, they can grow and I can get green garlic, or they can grow into these bulbs. And even that size would be nice, because it's, you know, would be roasted down into a bag of garlic puree. That side would be gorgeous. Would love to get loads. But then there's about 60 little clovelets here, bulblets here. So 60 of these would be fantastic. And as I said, these hopefully can be replanted and will give nice heads of garlic next year. So I'll just put these onto my trays and wait to see what happens with them. You know, sometimes you get flushed with success, and sometimes things just seem to be going down the pan. But today I found, well, the other day I found my tiger nuts, which I didn't grow last year, and I've grown as a novelty a couple of years in a row. So my nuts were all dried up, crinkly, covered in short curly hairs, and just really didn't look that good. So I've given them a good soak, and they're plumped up a bit. And now what I'm going to do, it's a bit late for planting them. Oh look, there's a lovely little slug. Get it. A bit late for planting them, but I'm going to put them into this toilet. Now a toilet, you might think, why the hell am I putting them into a toilet? Well, these are sedge, which love moisture, and the U-bend in the toilet will act as a moisture trap. So when it gets watered, the bottom will become all water soggy, but it'll still have a way to escape out of the bend I'm putting all of these in here because who knows if any of them are going to come. They're 2 years old, these, I think. So if they do come, that'll be great. If not, then what I'm going to do is just pork them down. I've filled most of this with manure, which just seemed apt for some reason. Not fresh manure, it's old manure, sitting around for a couple of years. And bit of a multi-purpose compost on the top. And I'll probably have to add a little bit more, just to make sure that I'll add a bit more, make sure they're all covered. And I'll give them a good soak. And we'll just see if any of them grow and if any of them do anything. So the toilet, as I said, not only will it help retain moisture with the U-bend, it'll also stop them spreading, because these are, in certain areas of America especially, classed as an invasive weed. Bane of golf courses and golfers all over the US. So I'm just putting them in here, see if they grow, and I'll figure out what to do with them next year. Well, I think that's me done for the day. So I'm going to go home, sort out those Oerprei, and then work out the giveaway. So I'll do a bit more when I get home. Okay, ta-ra. I've sorted out all those brood balls, and I've worked out I can do 5 nice little starter packs. Now each starter pack will have about this many bulbs, which is a decent amount of bulbs, the brood balls. There's about 20 to 30 bulbs there, and that will be more than enough to give you a start off with a crop of these, enough to taste and enough to replant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a sticky comment down below. Now the first 5 people who are in the UK, I'm only going to post these to the UK because send plants overseas and the cost of sending them is an issue. So the first 5 people in the UK who put a post on that, responding to that comment, can have a pack of these, and then we'll sort out how I get it to them.